With the end of Sebastian Vettel's final race in Formula 1, for now maybe, he has of course not only left the sport, but has also left Aston Martin of course. Today we'll be taking a very quick and brief outlook on his time at Aston Martin and how he got there in the first place. We all know how good Vettel was at Red Bull, winning 4 world championships at the team, but how did he go from Red Bull all the way to Aston Martin, struggling to get in points for most of the time he was there? Before we get to the present day, let's get on to how Vettel's Ferrari career and how it ended. Sebastian would surprisingly announce he would join Ferrari at the end of the 2014 season after 5 successful years at Red Bull, winning all 4 of his championships. His whole goal was to bring the team back to the top and be fighting and winning championships, just like they were doing with another German, Michael Schumacher, was doing for many years. In the 6 years when Vettel was at Ferrari, he would not really complete his goal of winning championships, with the team with him only getting close in both 2017 and 2018. In these 2 seasons, he would fight with Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, who at the time just seemed like an impossible battle to fight, as they were so dominant and consistent at the time. His best chance was probably in 2018, but a massive moment in the season where he would crash out of the race in Germany when Hamilton would come from far back on the grid to take a huge win and knock Sebastian's chances of his 5th world title and the first for Ferrari since 2007. Sebastian himself looked back on all these years with Ferrari and said he failed to gain in his goal, and of course he was disappointed that he did not do it, but he was also happy and grateful for him driving for so long with the most successful team in the history of the sport. In 2019 and 2020, Vettel was outperformed and outshone by his younger teammate in Charles Leclerc, and many people that this could be the end of his time with Ferrari. And it was with them bringing Carlos Sainz for 2021, which meant that Sebastian has the choice of retiring or looking for another team once it became clear that he, of course, would not be getting a contract extension. For Vettel, retiring was really on his mind, but he also knew that he loved the sport and wanted to give another team a chance and give him the chance to challenge for a championship. This is when, at the time, Racing Point, now Aston Martin, would come calling, and he would take the opportunity to drive for the team alongside Lance Stroll for 2021 and beyond. Now, it was not a bad choice for Vettel, as the team would get their first win in 2020, score a pole position and take a fair few podiums in the season, whilst fighting at the top of the midfield. Even though the car was a pink Mercedes from 2019, that's a topic for another video. What would the opportunity at the brand new Aston Martin team with a lot more backing and resources do for Vettel? Would the team provide Vettel with a championship winning car in the near future, or would he never get the chance to fight for a title again? That was going to be seen in a new couple of years. For the 2 years in the team, Vettel would score a P2 for the team and was challenging for the win at Hungary in 2021, but would come over the line in P2 before being disqualified due to the team not being able to provide enough fuel. In 2021 and 2022, Vettel would dominate Stroll, to say the least, who would never leave the team no matter what, and we all know why. If you don't, his dad owns the team, so he'll never leave a team unless there's a change of power. Clearly, after 2021 and the first half of 2022, it was made up in Vettel's mind that he was going to retire. Was this down to how poor Aston Martin was? Well, yes and no, and we're going to go into why. In Sebastian's announcement video on the eve of the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2022, he did talk a lot about wanting to retire due to wanting to spend more time with his family. However, you have to understand, for Vettel, who was in both Red Bull and Ferrari for over a decade, it would be hard for him to go to a team where the car was most of the times hard to get out of Q1, and also a struggle to pull in the points. For him to be one of the most decorated drivers in the history of Formula 1, you have to understand his frustration of being in that awful Aston Martin car for 2 years, which clearly influenced his decision to retire at the end of 2022 and leave the team behind after 2 years there. Now, in his 2 years, with all the experience he brought, he helped the team develop not only the car, but the team as a whole. As we all, with Vettel speaking to the media and the t-shirts he wears, he is an activist and a good man. So this must have helped Aston Martin push forward and become stronger as a unit. The feedback that Vettel would have given the mechanics and engineers, both at the factory and at the race weekend, would have been valuable to help them understand the car and development for future cars too. He acted like a massive team leader, and in 2022, the car was the second worst on the grid at the start, so being at the top of the midfield, and probably should have finished in P6 on constructors' standings if it wasn't for Aston Martin's strategy team going on an early holiday in Abu Dhabi and leaving Sebastian out for so long. Do you think that Sebastian had a successful time at Aston Martin, or would you call it a favour? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Now, on to what Sebastian does really think of Lance Stroll, and as we saw through the whole time within the team, they were not close friends, but had a professional relationship off the track. However, on the track, on one occasion, especially in the penultimate rounds of the 2022 season in Brazil, Stroll would make a quite idiotic late move to the left on Sebastian, which caused him to have half his car off the track, and Vettel nearly had a massive crash, but due to the immense amount of skills he has as a driver, he kept the car out of the barriers. Now, we all know Stroll did this before to his future teammate in Fernando Alonso in Texas, so he's prone to being stupid and causing accidents. But why would he do it to Vettel, his teammate? To be honest, Sebastian is probably thinking that to himself too. But Stroll will never lose his seat over this, right? Overall, we are very sure that Sebastian would look back on his time at Aston Martin as kind of a success, as he brought the team's levels of performance up when it needed it and was a great team leader. Saying that, I don't think when Vettel looks back on his career in the years to come, he will not be telling his children about his time at Aston Martin. Vettel would have loved to end his career on a massive high, getting podiums and wins, but for most drivers who end their career, this does not happen. So it's certain that Vettel will be very grateful for Aston Martin, but he will always be remembered for his times at Red Bull, but also Ferrari, and don't forget Toro Rosso, where he got their first ever win, and Vettel got his first win in the sport. Vettel will hold no grudges at all towards Aston Martin, as he is such a good human being, and he will always be grateful for the opportunity he gave them after he got released from Ferrari after the 2020 season. Now, what is next for Sebastian Vettel? Well, he only knows that question. Many believe he will come back and join the FIA. Some people like Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton believes he will be back on the grid soon. Who knows? Guess that only time will tell. Thank you for watching this video all about the legend of Sebastian Vettel. Please make sure to like the video and subscribe to watch videos just like this one.